The quill pen. It's responsible for much of our written history. Medieval transcripts, Shakespeare's sonnets, the Declaration of Independence, and the United States Constitution were all created with a feather quill. The earliest use of the quill was somewhere around 600 AD, and it was the primary writing instrument until the 19th century, when metal pens began to be mass-produced. They were long-lasting and versatile, so the quill pen was set aside. What if we were to combine these two pen types into a hybrid tool and then turn it into a work of art? Can you imagine the stories, poems, drawings, and sketches a pen like this will make? We'll start with a feather. Naturally, shed ones could be used, but for the sake of time and purity, we'll use these turkey feathers that have been thoroughly cleaned, cured for strength, bleached, and then dyed. Next, we're going to need a pen. These are steel dip pen nibs in a variety of shapes and sizes. Some of them still carry the name of the bird feather quill that they imitate. This is a crow quill. This is a hawk quill. You could also take an inexpensive ballpoint pen and remove the barrel. We'll start by gluing the nib to the feather. Then we'll hold it in place with a little piece of masking tape while it's drying. Now there is a right way and a wrong way to attach this nib. You want to hold the feather so that it arches back over your hand when you're writing with it. So the nib will be on top of the feather as you grasp it. The ballpoint doesn't need to be glued first. Just use a little bit more masking tape as you attach it, and this should go on the back side of the feather. Next, we paint a design on the feather using acrylic paint. I like to use very opaque colors, especially on the darker color feathers. Blick Matte Acrylic and Jacquard Lumiere are two that I'd highly recommend. The surface of a feather is not the easiest thing to paint. It does have a little bit of a texture, and it tends to move around as you try to paint on it. I usually paint designs and patterns that are a little more abstract. Here's one that I painted to look like a peacock feather. You can paint the back side of the feather too, but it is even more textured than the top side, and it tends to resist the paint a little bit. Now the barrel of the pen can be designed in some very interesting ways. I recommend putting black first near the nib, because that's where the ink is going to come in contact with it most. I'll tie a knot first at the top of the feather, tuck the end of the thread down, and then just wind it around. If I wrap it closely enough, I don't need to remove the masking tape. This is a waxed thread. I find it easiest to use because it tends to stick to itself and it doesn't slide around that much. At the end of my thread, I'm going to tie on my next color, which I'm going to use a piece of lime green hemp cord. We'll just tie it right around the end of my wax thread. And then wrap that as well. Up here at the top, I'll finish with a little bit of a gold wire accent. Cut the end off. Okay, now the ballpoint would be designed in much the same manner. The barrel's tightly secured, but it's going to be partially exposed on the back side. It can be further decorated with the addition of some small glass beads, some sequins, rhinestones, even some glitter glue. So it looks lovely, but what are the benefits to writing with a quill pen? Well, the first major benefit is the ink. There's so many beautiful selections that you don't get with a regular pen. There's metallic, pearlescent, opaque, transparent, and like paint, the colors can be mixed to achieve just about any shade. Now, writing with the quill pen is a very sensory experience. You need to hold it loosely between your thumb and your middle finger, placing your index finger on top. When I dipped it in the inkwell, it went about halfway up the nib. Made sure that it wasn't going to drip before I moved it, and start with some light strokes across the paper. Keep the nib in the same position. Move it by turning your hand. And as you grow more confident in your writing, you'll find that writing with a quill involves using your entire hand and arm. Using a ballpoint pen usually just involves using your wrist and your fingers. Now, sketching with a quill pen is great. You can achieve a lot of fine detail and delicate lines. If I apply a little bit of pressure as I'm using the nib, see how the line gets thicker. This makes for wonderful calligraphy because it's so expressive. Now, to clean the nib or to change colors, simply dip it in water or clean it with a damp paper towel. Then dry it off and try to store it in an upright position until it's ready to use again. It's a lot like a painting brush. Keep it clean, it'll continue to be useful. Now, all of the materials I used here today and a free lesson plan are available at dickblick.com. Keyword search Creative Quill.